Yo, what is going on, everybody? This is Mysticall, and today I'm bringing you a video on a topic that I get asked quite often, and that is, what are my keybinds, and how do you keybind? And in this video, just a warning, this is probably going to be a long video, but in this video, I'm going to take you from beginning to end on every single way you can customize your keybinds, and if you have any questions at the end, please feel free to ask me. Trust me, we've all been there. We're all trying to create binds that are comfortable for us, for our playstyle. So as always, if you have any questions, please let me know. This guide should go pretty well with both retail, BFA, and classic. So if you're playing classic and you are having trouble with key binding, continue watching. It is still a really solid guide for it. And with that being said, let's get right into the video. So the first major thing that's going to determine your keybinds is what you use as your peripherals. That is your keyboard and your mouse. I use a 60% keyboard, which does not have, here I can show you, a lot of you probably using the full-size keyboard. I use a 60% keyboard, so pretty much the only thing is I don't have these F1 keys up on top. That's pretty much the major difference between them. And then I have a 12-button mouse, but I know that some people like to use the 2-button mouse. I use a 12-button mouse, so depending on what you use, it's going to kind of affect your key bindings. Now, from my point of view, it really doesn't matter which one you choose. It's whatever you're comfortable with. If you're using a 2-button mouse, you're going to be using the keyboard a lot more. If you're using a 12-button mouse, you're going to be using the mouse a lot more. If that, makes your decision on what you want to use, that's fine. But either way is perfectly fine. So why are key bindings even useful, and what is the point of this guide? Whether you're playing Classic, BFA, PvPing, Mythic Plus, raiding, leveling, having the right keybinds is the single best way to improve yourself as a player. Trust me, from someone with experience of being stuck at a certain rating. I think I was stuck at 1600, 1500 for like 2 seasons when I first started seriously PvPing. Key bindings really helped me push through that plateau of rating. The reason that key bindings are so important is because it takes your focus off of the bottom of your screen, and it increases your awareness of what's going on around you. So instead of looking down here at what buttons you're pressing or what abilities where abilities are, you already know, through practice what key binding is where, and you're able to pay attention up here to what's going on in front of you. And that's really important in every aspect of the game. I mean, I'm talking PvPing, leveling, Mythic Plus, rating. You always want to be paying attention to what is in front of you, right in front of your screen. You do not want to spend a lot of time looking down here. It's called having a really good awareness. It's very important to have when it comes to WoW, and it's crucial to have success in any aspect of WoW. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So I just want to start off with my key bindings. You can skip this part of the video. I'll probably put a timestamp on the screen for you to skip to when we actually start doing key bindings. My key bindings are a combination of years of practice and then just having a 12-button mouse. That's really all there is to it. You can see I have all mine right here, and if you go to interface, action bars, you can get both the right bar and the second bar. This one, I don't really use the second right bar. I don't use it that often. Monks don't have that many macros, arena 1, 2, 3 macros that you really need to be successful. If you're playing a Resto Druid, you're probably going to have a little bit more with Mighty Bash, Cyclone, Tangling Roots, Thorn, stuff like that. But monks don't really need that. And it's pretty standard, I have, 1 through 9, and then I have R, Shift R, and then this equal sign. It's just from the 12-button mouse. I just want to point out that if I do swap to a Resto Druid, Barkskin is also Shift R, so try to be consistent across multiple classes. If you're playing a Shaman, Astral Shift will be here. If I was playing a Rogue, it would probably be either F or Shift R, depending on, which one. I might put Cloak of Shadows on one of those two. Basically, my defensive are always Shift R or F. Major cooldowns are F, so if I was playing Windwalker, Karma is my F. And then I like to be pretty consistent across the top. I have 2 trinket slots that I do, but sometimes I really don't use 2 trinkets, so I swap this one out. If I'm playing out the Warlock, like a Desh Warlock in Mythic Plus or Raids, I usually don't play 2 unused trinkets, so I'll make this my Health Stone. And And on this right side, this is pretty much my dispel macros, party 1, party 2, and then myself. And then I have my port, which is X and Shift X right here. Really important abilities that you're going to be pressing, and you need to press fast. Normally, I keep on my keyboard. So you have, Artifact Power. You have my port. You have Cocoon, Trinket, Major Essence. I love this animation. It's actually, I can't wait to get rank 4. And yeah, and then I always make the racial 11, which is on my mouse, which is, I think it's 12. Yeah, 3, 6. Yeah, so it's 12 button right here. And actually, now that I noticed, I don't have a 0, so that's actually an extra keybind I can do. And yeah, those are my keybinds. On the right-hand side, you have Arena 1, 2, 3. You have Alt 1, Alt 2, Alt 3 for Arena 1, 2, 3. And then Arena 1, 2, 3 for disarm. Usually when you have Arena 1, 2, 3 macros or dispel macros, or targeting keybinds, you want to keep them all in a row, just 3 in a row, so you don't get confused and you know which one you're pressing. And that's pretty much it for my keybinds. They're no secret. I just like to keep them hidden because I just think it looks clean that way. But yeah, those are my keybinds. And if you have any questions, please let me know. This is, again, a combination of years of trying to get used to key bindings, and then when I did the worst thing you can do possible, and that is I keybound everything, and I got frustrated for like 3 weeks straight trying to remember where everything was. So yeah, it was difficult, but it was worth it. So let's jump right into actually how to keybind. So it looks like we're going to start with the movement keys. Again, this is going to be a bit of a longer video. I'm just going to run right through these, trying to help you guys, give you my thoughts. Now, when we get to movement, I was always told you're a noob if you have S keybound, which is your back pedal. For those of you who don't know, back pedal reduces your movement speed just because it's backpedaling by a large amount. It's really not ideal if you're a caster, or anyone really, but there are reasons to have it keybound. If you are a rogue and you use evasion, you have a 100% dodge chance, but you can actually get hit from behind. So if you're playing against a warrior and you pop evasion and you're in front of them, you're going to be dodging everything. But if you are a rogue and you evasion and the warrior gets behind you, they're actually able to do damage to you. That's why when you see Peekaboo, he trinket evasion something or just evasions, he'll backpedal away from the warrior because he knows that you can't get hit. That's the same for warriors with their die by the sword. They have a 100% parry chance, but you can't parry when you're getting hit from behind. So that's why you try and backpedal away. So backpedal isn't that bad. On a monk specifically, I like to roll backwards or roll forward. So that's why I like having backpedal keybound. Also, something to note, I don't know if they fixed it, but it was maybe last expansion. There was some latency issues I was having where I was strafing away from people. And I wasn't able to dodge because they were hitting me from behind, even though I was strafing. So that's also a good reason to backpedal, so that you make sure that they are in front of you at all times. Outside of that, if you don't have a reason to have backpedal, don't use it. The only mandatory thing for movement when it comes to key bindings is making sure you don't use turn left to turn right. Turn left to turn right is something called keyboard turning. It is very slow. It is very slow. It is not something you want to do. You want to change these to your strafe left and strafe right. Now, if you're going to unbind S, an option you have is to make your move forward W. So that way your movement is ASD. Interface, I kind of think I messed that up. Move forward is S. Move backwards is nothing. That's okay. So this way you have ASD as your movement keys instead of AWD. This opened up a slot as your W. Your W now opens up as a keybind, which is pretty good. If you're going to bind S, you just use AWD. It's fine. It's both of them are really good. Move forward is W, S. So those are both fine. If you're not going to bind S to backpedal, just use SW. Again, you could also use AWD and unbind S, and then you have S as a keybind. It's completely up to you. There is no right or wrong way to this. It's completely up to you. So AWD or ASD, just make sure you have strafe left and strafe right keybound to A and D or something like that. QWE is fine too. I've seen people do that. Just make sure you have those bound and don't use turn left and turn right. I want to point out, as far as movement goes, keybinding's movement, when you, I don't know if it's in here, No, it's actually a default thing. So one thing, I think it's built into the game. If you hold both of your mouse keys down, your left and right, you run. My mouse, I'm not moving. This is my mouse. This is all mouse movement. This is not me moving my character. And this is useful when you have a keybind on like your Q. So if you try to press Q, your finger is off of your A, which means you can't strafe left. So that's why if you have Q, you can still use your ability and still move to the left, because you can hold down both your mouse buttons and still move. I use that to juke. So if I'm casting, I just double mouse, and it moves you, and it puts you into like a running state. So that's a little thing. I think it's really useful. I didn't really know about that until like 2 years ago, so I don't know if that's like newer or if it's just always in the game and I never noticed. But yeah, that's a little thing. Hold down both your mouse buttons and you can move. You don't need your hands to move. I can completely 100% move my character in any direction with just my mouse, which is really good. It helps you learn your abilities. Especially if you're on the move. If if I'm rolling and I need to Tiger's Lust away or something and I can't press it, or I need to take my finger off my movement key and I need to keep moving, just hold both your mouse buttons. Action bars. So this is going to be your main action bar, which is this one right here. Again, as I explained earlier when I was explaining my own keybinds, I just have a 12 button mouse, so I just use 1 through 12, and then I skip out on I think 10 and 11 here, but I could actually make keybinds for those. And then I use R and Shift R, just because paralysis and fortifying brew I feel are kind of important abilities for monks. So yeah, I just use 1 through 11, R and Shift R as my main ones. Nothing much to say about these. It's up to you. If you don't have a 60% keyboard and you have the F1 through F12 keys, you can also use F1 through F5. They're pretty close to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, so they should be hittable if your fingers are long enough. If they're not, just use 1 through 5. It's completely fine. They both work. They really do. And then down here, there's nothing really crazy, but I will show you something with this pet action bar. So here I am on my poor little mage. And for those of you that have pets, hunters, death knights, mages, this might be important for you. If you go into if you see your abilities right here, hunters have something different, but this is just an example. Mages have an ability called freeze. This is your pet ability that freezes them. This helps with shatter combos. You can midair, you can freeze them and get a giant shatter on them. But the problem is that Control 4 is like kind of awkward. So if you go into your key bindings and you go into your action bar, the same menu that we were just at, and you come to here, you can see Control 4 is pet action button 4. Normally when I'm playing a pet or when I played a mage back in MoP, I use Shift X. So what that does is you can see right here, it changes the keybind to this pet action ability to Shift X. So now instead of Control 4, you can cast it midair, and look at that. You can cast and press this at the same time because it's a pet ability, and you don't have to have that awkward keybind of hitting Control 4. Maybe it's not awkward for some people. It was awkward for me, so I thought it was pretty important to unbind that or change the keybind to that, and hopefully someone finds that useful. It's really good for the Death Knights too as well. The kick on the pet, on the minion, and same with hunters. Hunters have Roar of Sacrifice, which is really good to keybind. So now we're back here on our main, and we're done with our action bar. We did the pet ability. Monks really don't have it. We have Shwen on Windwalker, but I really don't play Windwalker that much. And now this is probably where most of your time is going to be, and that is in the multi-action bar section. This is where you can do a lot of your planning for keybinds, a lot of moving around, a lot of shifting, a lot of thinking through it, but it's worth it. It's worth it in the long run. So here we have the bottom left action bar, which is this one right here, and we have a bottom right action bar, which is these right here. And then we also have the right action bar, which is this one. And then we have the the left right action bar right here. It's important. I don't really have the second one keybound. Monks don't have that many abilities, where I don't think many classes do. Maybe druids, maybe rogues is probably a good example. If you're using 1, 2, 3 arena macros for kidney shot, cheap shot, blinds, stuff like that, it's definitely possible to fill these action bars up very quickly on a rogue. So again, for right here, it's pretty standard. I try to match it up with this bottom row pretty evenly for the most part. I've Shift 1 through Shift 10, and then I use C for blackout kick and Shift C for drinking. Now, C and Shift C, you want to use binds that if you press it by accident, it's not really going to affect anything. So Shift C, I'm not really going to use Shift C that much, but I do want to use blackout kicks fast. You know, if I'm using Way of the Crane, I want to be able to hit my Rising Sun kick, which is 8, and blackout kick immediately off that. So that's why I don't really use a shift modifier. I don't want to think about using a shift while I'm using my burst cooldowns in Way of the Crane, which is probably something similar you guys should be doing. Keep your burst abilities simple. I know when I played Pharaoh back in Kata, my Berserk was C, and I think my Tiger's Fury was Shift C. So they were pretty similar. I could press them back and forth, you know, and really not worry too much about it. There are some times where I ran into situations where I'd accidentally hit Berserk because I was saving it. So if you have two cooldowns that are pretty similar, but you don't plan on using them that often, or you know, back to back, you can also switch it up and change the keybinds on them. But for the most part, cooldowns that are similar, I like to keep next to each other just because they're easier to hit one after another. And then we have a bottom right action bar. So I ran out of mouse space. I don't really use the control modifier that much on my mouse just because it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of awkward for me to get to them on a 60% keyboard. I don't know. It just always felt awkward to press control. So for the rest of these binds are actually pretty much from my keyboard. So you have E, Shift E, which is my major essence, and then my trinket. Again, PvP trinket, on-use trinkets. Try to keep them standard across your characters so that you don't have to second guess when you hop on another character. And then F, Shift F. These are really abilities, like kind of like utility abilities. F is always a major cooldown for me. Make it whatever you want, but it's usually a major cooldown for me. And then Shift F is, you know, mana reduction, I guess. On my monk, it's mana T. On my druid, it's innervate. Other healers really don't have anything like that, so this is a free spot for other healers. And then again, because I know I'm going to be porting very often, I keep X, or my Transcendence, X and Shift X, very close to my movement keys, because I know that I'm probably going to be spamming it, and I'm going to be moving, trying to spam it. So you know, you want to keep those very close to your fingers, your movement keys. And then we have these right here, which is my Dispel. If you play a healer, it's a very good idea. I highly recommend using Arena Party 1, Party 2, and then Self Dispel, and keep them in a row. That way you know which one you're pressing. Mouse wheel up is Party 1, mouse wheel down is Party 2. Keep that pretty standard across all of your characters. You could also do that on your balanced druids, your enhancement shamans, your pharaoh druids, your elite shamans for hexes and stuff like that. And I think those are pretty important. Just keep those consistent. Whenever you have like an ability that you could do on all of your teammates, try and keep that in a row. It makes it very easy to learn and learn it very quick. And then the final one is the alts. These are the ones that you're probably going to be hiding for the most part. As soon as you learn what these binds are and you get very comfortable, you can actually just hide these. I just think they kind of look ugly on the side of my screen. I prefer seeing, you know, my whole screen. You can keep them there. I just don't like how it looks. And that's going to be mostly for Arena 1, 2, 3 macros, or if you have focus macros. I know Snuts, I think I remember watching Snuts, and he uses a lot of focus keybinds or focus macros. If you go down that route instead of Arena 1, 2, 3, it's perfectly fine. It is perfectly fine to do that. I just keep them hidden because I know them pretty well. You can see I'm hitting them right now. I don't have a target, but because I'm not in Arena. But you can still use them even though they're hidden. And that's pretty much it for the multi-action bar. Another huge one is targeting. So there aren't rules to targeting, but I highly recommend. I believe as default, target nearest enemy by default is tab. So what this is going to do, it's going to cycle all the enemies in front of you. It should. I don't know why it's not doing it here. Target nearest enemy. Maybe because these guys are yellow, it doesn't matter. But what this does is when you go into arena, it will target pets, it'll target totems, it'll target minions, it'll target anything, it'll target players. That's kind of annoying, especially if you play DPS and you want to interrupt something or you want to CC something. So what I highly recommend is making target nearest enemy player tab. So what this does is it ignores pets, totems, minions, all that stuff, and it just targets enemy players. It's not ideal in Mythic Plus because they're not players. You're probably going to want target nearest enemy if you're doing a lot of Mythic Plus. But if you're PvPing, target nearest enemy player is I highly recommend doing that for targeting. That's how I target. I target using tab and clicking. So I'll probably I tabbed to target, and if I need to click on somebody, I click on somebody. Either way, it's perfectly fine. I think Peekaboo also targets that way. So, you know, you have some pretty big players that do that. And another question I get is targeting my party members. There's 2 ways you could do this. The first way is mouse wheel up, mouse wheel down for party 1, and then use the middle mouse click to... one second, let me just do this real quick. And then you use the middle mouse button to target yourself. That's one way to do it. I prefer it this way. I feel like it's faster. It's less clicking. I just mouse wheel up, mouse wheel down. I feel like it's really fast. The only downside to this is if you're healing somebody with a pet, the mouse wheel up will target your party 1, and if you mouse wheel again, it'll target your pet. So there'll be situations where you're mouse wheeling very fast during a match, and you might accidentally target the pet, which is not that good. The other way is if you go into your your gaming mouse software, if you have it, and what some healers would do. I know Sidu does this. What he does is he binds his keys to F1, F2, F3. So on a 60% keyboard, I don't have that. So, you know, I could just make F1, F2, F3 and just never use them. But what he does is he binds this 1, 2, 3 to F1, F2, F3. And what this does is it frees up the 1, 2, 3 on your keyboard, so you can use your targeting as F1, F2, F3, but you have 1, 2, 3 on your keyboard that you could still use. It's completely up to you. If that's confusing, here. Oh, and we have a little special gift from the cat. Hello, Baxter. Hello. So what that means is, here, let me show you on a bigger keyboard. Baxter, what's up, bud? So what this means is, on a bigger keyboard, what he's doing, let me show you guys. What he's doing is he's binding 1, 2, 3, which are keys. He's, you know, it's kind of hard to hit these, so you're really never going to use these. So you're using targeting, you're rebinding these to your mouse, but you free up these 1, 2, 3 buttons right here. So you won't be able to use your 1, 2, 3 on your mouse, but you could still use 1, 2, 3 on your keyboard. So as long as you don't mind using your keyboard, it'll probably mostly be your ring finger or your middle finger. Maybe your index finger, but it'll probably be your ring and middle finger trying to target these. It's no problem at all. I just don't prefer that. I prefer mouse wheel up, mouse wheel down. Both are fine. They are both fine ways of targeting. Obviously, Sidu's a BlizzCon champion, so I mean that's pretty good. And then you have other BlizzCon champions, I'm sure, that have used mouse wheel up, mouse wheel down. And I don't think that's it for targeting. Oh, here's one thing. Focused arena 1, 2, 3. So when you go into arena and you start attacking somebody, let me just make sure this is right. Hit escape. Okay. And you get into arena and you're facing against RMP, for example. What I like to do is I like to put whoever is going to be crowd controlling me onto focus, because I want to see what they're casting. So if I put this mage or myself on focus, I could see what they're casting without actually having to target them, right? I could target this, and I could see that my focus target is casting, but I don't need to target them. Having a focus target is very important, I feel, as a healer at least, and if you're using focus macros. So what I do is I use Control 1, 2, 3 or F1, F2, F3 to just put enemies on focus. It's really a one and done in arena. I don't really swap it that often. The only time I swap is maybe against Ellie Shaman Warlock, where I think the Warlock's going to be fearing me more than he is, but he's actually far away, so I switch to Ellie Shaman because he's stacking on top of me to get a Hex. Stuff like that is the only really situation where I will be changing focus targets throughout a match. But besides that, it's not happening that often. So yeah, I recommend getting Control F1, F2, F3. If they're in a row again, you're going to be targeting 3 people in a row, so I just put it boom, boom, boom in a row. That way I don't have to think about it too much. And yeah. And then that's pretty much all of the binds. I don't really have anything to say about these. For miscellaneous, I don't have anything to say about miscellaneous. Camera, again, I have a 60% keyboard, so I use mouse wheel up, mouse wheel down to target, so I just use zoom in and out as home and end. I don't really use those binds in WoW, so I just zoom in and out. Target markers, so this one is actually important. This one's actually important. If you're playing against a hunter, they have an ability called, I don't know what it's called, but it summons a basilisk pretty much. And it does a ton of damage. It does a lot of damage if you're getting hit by it. It's also brown, which is the color of the arena floors, and it's very hard to see. Also, if you're playing against Unholy Death Knights, they have Summon Abomination. Even though it did get nerfed, it still does quite a bit of damage. And what this keybinding does, let me just show you guys quickly, keybindings and target markers. What this does is if I press it, it puts a skull over the head. So it makes it a lot easier to see. If skull is like not enough for you, you can rebind this to star, and boom, you got star. So this is really helpful. It's even helpful in Mythic Plus if you have a target that no one's hitting or you're trying to decide on who to zerg down. But in Arena, it's also very good because it really helps with people targeting, who to kill, what to kill, what should I be paying attention to. It's really good for pointing out those Basilisk Abomination. It's also really solid versus Warlocks who are using the Succubus Pet. They have an ability, I don't know what it's called, I just call it Suck because it's sucking you. And I can target and say, hey guys, can you swap the star and interrupt it or kill it? There's no question. They just say, okay, there's the star, let's go interrupt it. So it's really good for pointing things out in Arena. You don't go too crazy in here. You don't have to keybind all of these. I just keybind one to help point things out. I think most of the time it is skull, but my warrior when in Arena is skull, so I could probably make it like circle. And then that's pretty much it. You have vehicle, detail, these are just add-ons, and that's pretty much it for keybinds. I could do I could run through it again if you guys want. There's really no rules to your key bindings, but you want to try to be consistent across multiple classes when it comes to similar abilities like your trinket, like your major essence, like your defensives, on-use trinkets, and your mobility. You also don't want to be swapping your key bindings that often because you really want to grow the muscle memory. It takes maybe a couple of months to really learn them, and then a couple months after that to really nail down the muscle memory and not really rely on looking down, but actually being able to look up here and press any keybind you want. A really good test is to just close all your action bars and practice. Key bindings are one of the driving forces of improving yourself as a player. Having good key bindings is really important to have. You want to be comfortable. No one can tell you that you have the wrong key binds. If you're using a Shift B, my hands are too small for that, but man, if your fingers are large enough and you can hit that and you're not having a problem hitting it and you're comfortable using it, I can't tell you that's a bad keybind. That's a good keybind. If you're comfortable pressing it, you press in time, you use it when you need to, that's a good keybind. That's the criteria of a keybind, good keybind. If you can hit it and you need it in that at precise time and you can press it, it's fine. Okay? So again, don't let anyone tell you. Movement is very important, so that's why you try to have your strafe left and right. Have S keybound if you need it. If you don't, you can always use as an extra option as a keybind. And that is pretty much it. I hope this was useful for some people. I never really had a video like this when I was learning a keybind, so I really hope that was useful. Thank you so much for watching this video, especially if you stayed this long. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. I know this can be quite difficult for some people, and that is pretty much it. If you really enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe. If you want to support me, I got a join button, which is insane. So yeah, if you want to support me, I have the join button. Subscribe, like, anything. Dislike it if you disliked it. But I would appreciate a comment if you did dislike it. If there's anything I can improve upon, please let me know. That's pretty much it. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you later.